My mother controlled every aspect of my life as a single mom, but when she threatened to take my daughter and give her up for adoption, I escaped in the middle of the night, and what I discovered about my sister changed everything. I'm 20 years old. I work retail, and I'm a single mom to a 1-year-old daughter named Abigail. And I need to tell this story because I basically just escaped from my parents. And when I say escaped, I mean it literally. Like I had to flee in the middle of the night with my daughter because they threatened to take her away from me. I know it sounds heavy, and honestly, I still can't believe all of this happened. But here I am, living with my sister in San Diego, trying to rebuild my life from scratch. I guess I should start from the beginning. I had Abigail when I was 19, and obviously it wasn't planned. I mean, I was working at a clothing store making like minimum wage and living in a tiny apartment I could barely afford. Abigail's dad, well, he disappeared when I told him I was pregnant, literally blocked me everywhere, and I never heard from him again. So there I was, pregnant, alone, and basically broke. My parents, Sharon and Edward, offered to let me move in with them after Abigail was born, and I thought, it would be temporary, like 6 months or a year tops while I saved money and got a better job. Spoiler alert, things didn't turn out at all like I expected. The first few months after Abigail was born were relatively normal. Let's say, my parents helped me with her when I worked, let me use their car to go to doctor's appointments, that kind of thing. They weren't super affectionate or anything. They never have been, honestly, but they weren't being horrible either. My mom, Sharon, has always been kind of controlling, like one of those people who has an opinion about everything you do, and they're going to tell you whether you want them to or not. But I thought I could handle it. My dad, Edward, is quieter, but he always backs up everything my mom says, never contradicts her on anything. My older sister, Ashley, who's 26, had moved to San Diego like 4 years before, and we barely talked. She kind of distanced herself from the family, and I never really understood why. But now I understand it perfectly. Everything started getting weird when Abigail turned 1. I don't know what happened exactly, but my mom suddenly became super critical of me. She started making comments about my weight, like I had gained like 35 pounds during pregnancy and hadn't lost all of it. And she would say things to me like, "You should take better care of yourself, Leah. Men aren't going to notice you if you keep going like this." Or, "You don't want Abigail growing up seeing a mom who doesn't take care of herself." And I'd tell her, "Mom, I'm literally working full-time and raising a baby alone. I don't have time or money to go to the gym," but she didn't understand or didn't care. She started controlling my food. Like if I grabbed something from the kitchen, she would say to me, "Do you really need to eat that? You already ate today, didn't you?" It was super uncomfortable and made me feel horrible. But that was just the beginning. My mom joined this neighborhood club. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it was like a group of ladies from the neighborhood who got together to drink tea and basically judge everyone. And after that, she got 1,000 times worse. She started getting involved in how I dressed, Abigail, what I fed her, everything. If I put a dress on her that she considered too short, she made me change it. If I gave her a snack she thought wasn't healthy, she took it away and gave me a half-hour sermon about child nutrition. And the worst part is my dad never said anything. He just nodded his head and told me, "Your mom is right, Leah. You should listen to her more." The thing is, I was trying to keep the peace, because I needed to live there. I had nowhere else to go. My savings were like $1,000, not even enough for a deposit on an apartment. So I put up with the comments, tried to follow their ridiculous rules, and told myself it was just temporary. But things kept escalating. My mom started telling me what times I could and couldn't leave the house, asked me to let her know if I was going to be late from work, like as if I was 15 again and not 20. She told me I couldn't have visitors without telling her first, that I couldn't use certain areas of the house at certain times. Basically, she treated me like I was a child and not the mother of my own daughter. Then something happened that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, one of the straws because there were several. Abigail had to get her 1-year vaccines, and I made the appointment with the pediatrician and everything normal. The day of the appointment, I told my mom I was going to need the car because the office was like 30 minutes away, and I had no way to get there by public transport with a baby. And she told me no, that Abigail didn't need vaccines, that vaccines were dangerous and caused autism, and I don't know how many other things. I was just like, what? Because my parents had never been anti-vax. I mean, I have all my vaccines. My sister does too. But apparently in her neighborhood club there were ladies who were super anti-vax, and they had put all these ideas in her head. I told her no, that Abigail was going to get vaccinated because that's what doctors say and because I'm her mom and I decide. And she got furious, like I had never seen her that angry. She told me that as long as I lived in her house, I followed her rules, and that if I didn't like it, I could leave. I told her okay, that I was going to leave then. And I went to look for the car keys to go to the appointment anyway, but she had hidden them. She literally hid my car keys, which technically was theirs, but I used every day. I had to cancel the appointment and reschedule it for the next week. And during that whole week, my mom was giving me sermons about how pharmaceutical companies just want money and how I was being a bad mother by wanting to poison my daughter. I managed to get Abigail vaccinated like 2 weeks later when my mom went out with her club friends and my dad was working. I called an Uber and went. But when my mom found out, I literally thought she was going to have an attack. She yelled at me for like an hour, told me I was irresponsible, that I didn't know how to raise a child, that I was going to regret it. And my dad was just standing there supporting her, telling me I should have listened to them. But the worst, what really made me realize I had to get out of there no matter what, happened like a month after that. I had gotten home late from work because my boss asked me to stay to close the store, and when I got to the house, my parents were waiting for me in the living room with this super serious face. I sat down and my mom told me they had been talking, and they had decided that I wasn't ready to be a mother, that I didn't know what I was doing, and that the best thing for Abigail would be for me to give her up for adoption. I froze. I literally couldn't even speak. I asked her if she was serious, and she said yes, that they knew a very good couple from their church who couldn't have children and would be delighted to adopt Abigail, that they would give her a better life than I could offer her. I started crying, told them they were crazy, that Abigail was my daughter and I would never give her up for adoption. And my mom told me, then you're going to have to start doing things the way we tell you, because while you live here, you're not in charge. My dad added that if I didn't cooperate, they were going to do whatever was necessary to protect Abigail, including calling social services and telling them I was a negligent mother. I didn't know if they were serious or just trying to scare me, but in that moment I realized I couldn't stay there one more day. I went up to my room, shaking and not knowing what to do. I didn't have enough money to leave. I didn't have close friends I could stay with. I didn't have any plan. And then I thought of Ashley. My sister and I weren't super close. Like I said, she had left years ago and we barely talked, but she was the only person I could think of who might be able to help me. I sent her a message that night telling her everything, and she responded the next day saying we needed to talk, that she was going to call me. When we talked, Ashley asked me 1,000 things about how my parents were with me, about the things they said to me, about the threats. And I told her everything. Absolutely everything. And she told me something that left me shocked. She told me, Leah, they did the same thing to me. That's why I left. She told me that when she was like 22, my parents controlled her so much they wouldn't even let her go out with friends, that they criticized her all the time, that they made her feel useless. She told me she left because she couldn't take it anymore, and that she had tried to keep in touch at first, but my parents always found a way to make her feel bad. So eventually, she stopped talking to them as much. And then Ashley told me something else. She told me she had gotten married 2 years ago. 2 years. And I had no idea. She never invited us to the wedding, never introduced us to her husband, nothing. I asked her why, and she told me, because I knew Mom and Dad were going to ruin everything. They were going to criticize everything. They were going to make the happiest day of my life a nightmare, so I decided not to tell them. Her husband's name is Kevin, and he has a restaurant in San Diego, and according to Ashley, he's the nicest man in the world. The opposite of our parents. I told Ashley about the adoption threats, and she got furious. She told me that was abuse, that it was manipulation, and that I needed to get out of there now. She offered for me to come live with her and Kevin, told me they had a guest room in Abigail and I could stay there as long as we needed. I couldn't believe it. Like I started crying again, but this time from relief. I told her yes, please, that I needed to get out of there. The problem was I couldn't just pack up and leave, because my parents weren't going to let me. So Ashley and I made a plan. She was going to come visit us, supposedly to see the family, but actually she was going to come confront my parents and help me get out of there. She told me she would arrive in 2 days, not to tell my parents anything about what we had talked about, just to tell them she was coming to visit. I told my parents Ashley was coming, and my mom got all excited, like she hadn't seen her in years. She started cleaning the house like crazy, planning special meals, the whole thing. I was super nervous those 2 days, trying to act normal, but inside I was a bundle of nerves. The night before Ashley arrived, I started secretly packing the most important things of Abigail's and mine in a backpack, like documents, some photos, Abigail's favorite little clothes, things I didn't want to leave behind. Ashley arrived on a Saturday afternoon. When she knocked on the door, my mom ran to open it all happy, hugged her, told her how much she had missed her. My dad was there too, smiling, acting like they were parents of the year. Ashley greeted them normally, hugged Abigail, hugged me, and sat down in the living room. My mom offered her coffee, cookies. She was being super nice. And then Ashley dropped the bomb. She said, "We need to talk about how you're treating Leah." My mom went pale. My dad tensed up. Ashley told them. I had told her everything. The threats about adoption, the obsessive control, the comments about my weight, everything. My mom immediately got defensive, said I was exaggerating, that she was just trying to help me be a better mother. And Ashley told her, help her by threatening to take away her daughter? That's helping? The argument got ugly really fast. My mom started yelling, saying that Ashley had no right to come to her house to judge them, that she didn't know how hard it was to deal with me. My dad told Ashley this wasn't her business. And I don't know what came over me, but I got tired of staying quiet. I yelled at them, that I was sick of them, that I was sick of their control, their stupid rules, treating me like I was an idiot. And to this day, I don't know why I did it, but I blurted out something Ashley had specifically asked me not to say. I told them, "You know what? Ashley got married 2 years ago, and you weren't even invited because she knew you were going to ruin everything." There was a horrible silence. My mom turned to look at Ashley with a face I'll never forget, like somewhere between shock, pain, and rage. She asked her if it was true, and Ashley, after a moment, said yes. My mom started crying, but not normal tears, like tears of rage. She started yelling about how Ashley could have done that to her, that she was her daughter, that she had a right to be at her wedding. And Ashley, with a calm I don't know where she got from, told her, "You had no right, because my whole life you made me feel like I was never enough, that everything I did was wrong, and I wasn't going to let you ruin the most important day of my life." My dad exploded, then told Ashley to leave his house, that she wasn't welcome. And Ashley stood up and told me, "Leah, get your things, we're leaving now." I ran to my room, grabbed the backpack I had prepared, grabbed Abigail, who was in her playpen, and went downstairs. My parents blocked the door. Literally, my dad stood in front of it and told me, "You're not taking that child." And Ashley got between us and told him, "Either you move or I call the police. Leah is of legal age and Abigail is her daughter. You have no right to keep them." I don't know if it was because Ashley sounded so sure or because my dad realized she was serious, but he moved aside. We left the house, got in Ashley's car, a blue Honda Civic from 2018, I think, and we left. I was in the back seat hugging Abigail, shaking, crying, unable to believe all that had happened. Ashley drove to a motel that was like 20 minutes from there, paid for a room, and we stayed there that night. Already at the motel, when Abigail fell asleep, Ashley and I stayed up talking until like 3 inches the morning. She told me more about her life, about Kevin, about why she had distanced herself from the family. She told me she had also gone through the same thing as me, that our parents are toxic, that they've always been like that. She told me that when she left, they tried to manipulate her to come back, told her she was ungrateful, that she was abandoning them, but she stood firm, and eventually they stopped trying. And then Ashley told me something that left me like, wow. She told me, "I'm pregnant. I'm 3 months along. I was going to tell you anyway, but I wanted you to know that my house is your house, and that Kevin and I are going to help you with whatever you need." I started crying again because I couldn't believe someone was offering me help like this, without expecting anything in return, without conditions, without control. The next day, Ashley told me we had to go back to my parents' house to pick up the rest of our things, Abigail's and mine. But when we got there, my parents weren't there, and all our things had disappeared. Abigail's clothes, her toys, my documents I hadn't managed to grab, everything. Ashley called my mom and asked her where our things were, and my mom told her she had sold them, that if I left like that, I didn't deserve to keep them. She sold everything to a neighbor for like $200. I mean, clothes that were worth much more, toys that were still almost new, everything. Ashley was furious but told me it wasn't worth fighting over, that the important thing was we were out. We left for San Diego that same day. The trip was like 8 hours, and during the whole journey I was thinking about everything that had happened, about how my life had changed in less than 48 hours. Kevin received us really well when we arrived, like he hugged me, told me his house was my house, not to worry about anything. He showed me the guest room where Abigail and I were going to stay, and it was nice, like it had a queen-size bed, a closet, it even had its own bathroom. It was 1,000 times better than the room we had at my parents' house. The first few days were weird. I mean, I was grateful, but I also felt super lost. I didn't have a job, didn't know anyone in San Diego, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But Kevin offered me a job at his restaurant. It's kind of a fancy place, like one of those where people go for special occasions. He told me I could start as a waitress, that the pay was good and the tips were even better. I accepted, obviously, and started working like 2 weeks after arriving. My parents tried to contact me like 1,000 times. They called me, sent me messages, sent me emails. At first it was like super intense, like they called me 10 times a day. The messages said things like, "Leah, please come back. We miss you. We can fix this." But I didn't answer them. Ashley advised me to block them from everything, and that's what I did. I still sometimes get messages because they create new accounts or contact me from different numbers, but I ignore them. Once my mom sent me a long message saying they just wanted to see Abigail, that they were her grandparents and had a right. But I responded just once telling her no, that they had no right, and that after what they did to me, they would never see my daughter again. She told me I was selfish, that I was denying Abigail the right to know her family. But the truth is, I don't want Abigail growing up around such toxic people who are going to make her feel less, who are going to control and manipulate her like they did with me. I worked at the restaurant for like 6 months while I saved money. Ashley and Kevin never charged me rent or anything, but I insisted on helping with household expenses, like I bought food, paid for internet, that kind of thing. During that time, Ashley continued with her pregnancy, and I went with her to her doctor's appointments, helped her with baby things. We became super close. It was weird because for years we had barely talked and suddenly we were like best friends. When Ashley was like 7 months along, I had saved enough money to move into my own apartment. I found a super nice place like 15 minutes from Ashley and Kevin's house. A small studio, but it's perfect for Abigail and me. It has a small kitchen, a full bathroom, and enough space to put a bed for me and Abigail's crib. The rent is expensive, like $1,200 a month. But with my salary from the restaurant and tips, I can pay it. Now I've been living in my apartment for like 3 months. Abigail is almost 2 years old. And honestly, for the first time in a long time, I feel good. You know? Like I'm tired all the time because being a single mom and working is exhausting. But it's different from being tired and also stressed about my parents. Ashley had her baby like a month ago. A beautiful boy named Matthew, and I go visit her like 3 times a week. Abigail and Matthew are going to grow up together. They're going to be close cousins, and that makes me happy. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, like if I should have stayed and tried to fix things with my parents. But then I remember how they made me feel. The threats, the control, and I know I had no other choice. Part of me misses them. I mean, I miss the idea of having normal parents who support me and love me, but my parents were never really like that. I just hadn't realized it until things got so bad. Last week, Abigail took her first steps without holding on to anything, like she walked like 5 steps by herself before falling. I recorded her and sent the video to Ashley, and she responded super excited. And I realized that this is what matters. You know? Having people who celebrate your empowerment option, achievements without making you feel less, without criticizing you, without controlling you. Abigail is going to grow up knowing her mom loves her and protected her from toxic people. And that's enough for now, I guess.